Okay, so today we're checking out this brand new Nano Cortex from Neural DSP. So as most of you who watch my channel probably know, I'm a huge user of the Quad Cortex. This has been my main rig for about 2 years now. Now I've been all in with the Neural DSP ecosystem, the Cortex Cloud, the captures, models, effects, all of it. So I was interested to check out the Nano Cortex and kind of learn about how it fits into the overall Neural DSP ecosystem. And what I've come to realize is this is not a mini version of the Quad Cortex. Not in the way that, say, an HX Stomp is the smaller version of the Helix, or the FM3 is a smaller version of the AXFX. This is built not so much to compete with those devices, but really, I think about this as Neural DSP's version of the Tonex. It's really about bringing captures and only captures to a small form factor. So this device doesn't do any modeling. It has a limited number of effects. And I think what they're trying to do is kind of bring the neural capture ecosystem to a smaller form factor, a more pedal board friendly form factor. So, this is built to go on a pedal board with other drive pedals, with other effects pedals, and really it's kind of there to play the role of an amp. It can do captures of drive pedals, but I don't think that's really where it shines. I think this shines kind of towards the end of your pedal board. This is your amp, this is your ambient effects, and you're going to run a lot of drive pedals and things like that in front of it. So enough talking for now. Let's go ahead and plug it in and just check out some of the starter tones on it. Okay, so we're going to hook this in so we can check out the tones, but a quick run through of the device itself. Out of the box, it only comes with the device and a USB cable. So that's important to realize. It does not come with a power supply. You can use the Quad Cortex power supply with it. You can also use any other standard kind of 9 to 12 foot DC adapter. I will say that in my testing, I've not been able to use my pedal board power supply with this in terms of the standard kind of multi-power supply that I use for all my regular pedals. Fortunately for me, I did have a dedicated adapter lying around that I could use. So all we're going to do is, guitar will come in the input. I'm going to run these two outputs to my studio monitors, and we'll run the USB out to the computer so we can record it direct. And we won't be using this part because this is where you do the capture return. But we're going to plug it in and hear how it sounds. Okay, so we're hooked in. Let's just hear how it sounds. That's a nice tone. Kind of dry, but it's nice. And so the one thing about the Nano Cortex is there's actually 4 presets that you can access at any given time. So right now I'm on the 1, whatever the yellow is. If I press the 1 again, I go to another preset that's kind of a purples. And I press the 1 again, I just go back to the crunchy. But the one thing is you can still hear that reverb going. So when you switch presets, it sounds like all the ambient effects have trails on them. So, and then if we switch over here, you can see I'm on the 2 and I've got the yellow. And what's this one? Kind of a dry high gain. So from the device, what you're doing is these controls can control all of the typical capture controls. So you've got gain, you've got bass, mid, and treble. And this amount goes with the effects. So these knobs you can turn. So you can choose your capture. That's what this is controlling, and this is controlling your IR. So right now I'm on bank 2, capture 3. There's 5 banks of 5 that you can access at any given time. And I can change my capture. So here, if I go like this, it'll change my capture. When I press this button, it'll go up a bank. And you can see as I'm messing around with these controls, the save button has lighted up and started blinking around it. That's to tell me I've changed the preset, and if I want to, I could save. But we won't save this right now. If I just press the buttons, I go back to the other presets. And I can do the same thing here. I can change the IRs. And there's 5 different IRs that you can access at any given time. That sounds nice. And then I can adjust the effects. So you can see here the effects we have, I think it's noise gate, transpose or pitch shift, modulation, delay, and reverb. So this one has the noise gate on the front. You can see the little yellow light there. And then the other up front effect, which is the transpose pitch shift, is not on, so it's dark. And then you see the blue light's on for modulation. The blue light is blinking for delay, and the blue light is on for the reverb. And so if I wanted to, I could change some of that stuff, and I could cycle through the effects. Whichever one's blinking is the one I'm controlling, and I can control a certain effect. I think on most of them, it's just the mix. So there's a lot of control you can do from the device itself. But to really get to everything, what you need to do is load up the mobile app. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here you can see we're in the Cortex app on my mobile phone. And you can see they've added this new icon down here in the middle that's a device. And it wants me to press the exit and capture together. I'll do that. And you see now my phone is connected. We can see the 4 different presets that we're messing around with. So the crunch simple is that nice kind of, that's a good one. The clean my dreams was that second one. And then the high gain simple. So nice. And then for all the presets, we can see what it's using. So the Edge 80s is using a Princeton, and it's using a 1x10. I think we had changed it to, you can see the mobile app and the device. Even though I changed it on the device, it showed up in the mobile app, which is nice. I like using that 4x12 with this. That sounds good. And you can see the noise gate's on, the pitch shifter is off, the modulation's on. So we've got a good amount of mix. So I guess that 80s chorus, they'd want a high mix. You've got an analog delay, and then you've got a mind hall reverb. So you can, a lot of control here. You can go to all the other presets here as well. So You can see they've got clean, a couple clean simple. Let's do the clean 80s. Edge to octave or delay. What else we got? We'll try the lead effects. That's a cool tone. And then we got some bass ones as well. So one of the things that I noticed, if you go to the Neural DSP website and you go to the Nano Cortex area, you scroll down, they got all the information. Down here, there's a link that says see full device list. So this is great just to know kind of what's on the device, which is great. You know what captures are there, you know what impulse responses are there, you know what effects are there. But if you notice, there's a column that says added in Nano S, the Nano S version in which the device was introduced. That says to me that we might get new kinds of devices added in future releases. So the guitar amps, I'm not super worried about, or the IRs, because you can get those today. But to me, it says we might get new effects. And I'll be interested to see what those are. You know, I wouldn't expect it's going to grow to a huge list, but it might be kind of interesting to be able to have, you know, one or two other modulation choices, maybe another delay choice, maybe another reverb choice. So I think there's definitely more to come on the Nano Cortex. So earlier I talked about how I think this is really built to compete with the new Tonex ecosystem. And I don't have the full-size Tonex, but I do have the Tonex 1. And so I'm familiar with the ecosystem. And for me, they're very comparable. So if we think about comparing this to what the Tonex device can do, the larger Tonex device, there's a few things here. They both obviously do captures, or Tonex calls them models. So you can run one capture per preset. They both have an input gate. They both have a reverb. This one brings delay and a modulation effect, and it also has a transpose capability. The Tonex has a compressor capability that you can put pre-amp or after amp. They both do IRs. So there's a lot of similarities. It's just about which things are most important to you. And the other major difference is the Nano Cortex will actually do the capture process. On the Tonex, you need to do that outside of the device, and then you can import the model you create onto it. But the Nano Cortex, you can do that on the device. And that's a major difference between the two devices, and I think it's what probably accounts for the extra cost of this. So this is around $550, where the Tonex is $400. So for that extra money, what you're getting is the ability to create captures on the device itself. So that's, I think, one of the key differentiators that Neural's tried to do is to put the capture capability on the device. The other thing I want to do is I want to see about adding in some captures that I have for my account, maybe some of the ones I purchased from Amalgam, and try those out here. So one of the things I did notice is when you're using the app, so I go over to my profile here, you can see it's not showing me my presets. So when you're in a device mode, like right now I'm in the Nano Cortex mode, it won't show me my presets for my quad cortex. I'd have to go back to the device, choose my quad cortex, and now if I go back to my profile, you see my presets show up. So it does kind of filter the whole of the app based on what device you're interacting with. So if we go back here, I'm going to go to my shared with me neural captures, because this is where I find my Amalgam. And let's find my, I think it's the OD50, is the 2-Rocks? Yeah, 2-Rock OD50. So let's go ahead and we're going to sort these by name so I can find what I want. And we're going to do the clean balance. We're just going to go like that, and it'll put it on the device. I'm going to assign it to capture slots. Let's grab an edge one. Where's the edges? Here we go. Edge, grab the edge balanced. And we'll just grab the drive one balanced. All right, so let's go back to the device and let's build out a new preset. So we're going to choose, let's do a clean one. So this is our clean balanced. So you can see I already put some tone kings on here. If it looks like if I want to use my captures, I have to replace those. But we'll use the clean one for now. Now for cabs, so for the IRs, I can do the same thing. If I go back here, if I go back to my impulse responses, and let's say I want to put the, we'll do the magnetone, put that on. Now if I go back to my preset, I could select that, but I've already uploaded this Fender one. We'll use that. Effects, we've got delay on, reverb. So if I want to save as, amalgam OD50 clean. So we should be here. And now if I want to assign it to a foot switch, I can hit this button and I'm going to replace the Clean My Dreams. And now. So that's pretty straightforward. I think the only thing I'm confused about, not necessarily confused, but I wish there were more banks on the device in terms of captures. So if I want to get the other 2 raw captures on here, you can see I've already loaded some of the other amalgam captures for a Tone King onto here. So if I want the 2 raw captures, I'd have to start replacing ones that come preloaded. So with only 25 captures spots, you'd have to really kind of plan out, okay, what ones do I want on my device? So overall, I'm really impressed with the Nano Cortex. I think it sounds great. It really brings the captures to life. I think the effects that are on here sound really good. And I think they were a good choice in order to get an overall kind of capability around the capture sounds. You know, a few things that I would have done differently if I was choosing the kind of features of the device. The thing I'm really missing is a second capture block in order to run a drive pedal in front of the amp. I know you can capture an amp with the drive pedal, but you know, if you're not building your own captures, if you don't have the equipment to do that, a lot of times you're counting on the captures you're downloading from others. So the ability to put a drive pedal in front of the capture, I think would have been really helpful. And personally, I would have given up some of the features that are on the device to get that. I would have given up the pitch shift transpose kind of capability. That's not something that's important to me. I know for some people it is important, and I get that, but personally, I would have given that up. Probably would have even given up the modulation capability in order to get that second drive block on the device. I like having the chorus that's on here, and I like that maybe there's room for other modulation effects, but you can get good modulation pedals to go on your board. You don't need that in this device. And frankly, I probably would have even given up the ability to create captures on the device. I've got my Quad Cortex, like I said, for about 2 years now, and I've captured some drive pedals here and there, and even an amp or two. But overall, I don't use the device much to do my own captures. I rely on the stuff I get from the Cortex Cloud, or I buy some from Amalgam or some other providers. And the ability to create that from the device, if you gave me an option between getting this device at the price of the Tonex versus being able to make captures from the device, I would have chosen the lesser price. I would choose having a second capture block over that. I don't think it would have been high on my priority list. But these are just my personal opinions, and you may disagree. So if you're looking to get into modeling and you're comparing the Nano Cortex to something like an HX Stomp or an FM3, I don't think this is for you. I think if you want to go modeling, you would stick with those. If you're looking at the Tonex world and you like this idea of having a small device that can run amp captures or amp models, and you want a few effects and you're going to build a pedal board around it, I would really give this some consideration. Personally, I've been checking out kind of the Tonex ecosystem as well. I prefer the Neural DSP ecosystem overall. I think the apps are more usable and easier to understand. I think the device has better usability. I'm really impressed with Neural's ability to build intuitive interfaces. Even out of the box, I only had to look up a couple things on this in terms of how to do something, whether on the device. Never had to look up anything on how to do it on the app. It's very straightforward. So I'm going to continue to get to know this. I think I'm going to look at maybe comparing this in terms of how captures sound on this versus the same captures on the Quad Cortex, make sure that it's sounding the same. Maybe we'll do some comparisons with the Tonex as well. And we'll just kind of keep getting to know it better over the next few videos. So I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching.